The galaxy had forgotten the name of its first conquerors. In the archives of the Dominion worlds, humanity was a myth, an extinct species erased by its own wars. For 10,000 years, the stars had moved on, new empires rose. New gods were crowned, and Earth became a forbidden grave, a dead planet orbiting a dying sun. But one day, deep in the nebula sectors, a signal pulsed old. Broken. Human. A transmission repeating a single word, alive. The alien vessel Seeker of Dawn intercepted it. Its crew, explorers of the Zelari Collective, had mapped half the known galaxy, but never found Earth. Curiosity turned to fear when their translator identified the frequency. T matched the ancient Terran military network, long dead, long sealed. Against orders, they followed it. When their ship dropped out of warp, the sight before them was haunting, a shattered planet, half consumed by darkness, half scorched by the remnants of orbital bombardment. Earth. No biosigns. No cities, just ashes and static. The captain hesitated, but science demanded answers. A landing party descended into the ruins of an old city, London, or what was left of it. Then, from beneath the dust, something moved. A figure emerged, tall, armored in black metal scarred by time. His helmet glowed faintly, powered by a reactor that shouldn't still function. His voice, when it came, was quiet but heavy as thunder. Identify yourselves. The Zelari scientists froze. Their scanners struggled to categorize him. Carbon-based, biological, human, impossible. He removed his helmet, revealing a face pale as bone, eyes burning faintly blue, artificial pupils, synthetic tissue, cybernetic veins glowing under translucent skin. A hybrid of flesh and machine. My name, he said, is Captain Nathan Hale. United Earth Defense Force. Who sent you here? The aliens explained the truth. Humanity was gone. Lost to history, Nathan listened in silence. Then, he turned toward the horizon, where the ruins of orbital towers still pierced the sky. Gone, he murmured. No. We endured. And then he showed them. Deep beneath the Earth's crust, sealed in the ancient vaults of the Genesis program, lay humanity's final experiment, Project Echo. Thousands of suspended consciousness cores, human minds preserved in digital stases. Their memories, their dreams, their rage. For 10,000 years, Nathan had guarded them, not as a man, but as a sentinel, his body repaired by nanotech. His soul preserved in AI circuits. He was the last human soldier, waiting for a world that would never return. The aliens offered him extraction, a chance to leave the dying planet. But he refused. This world is our tomb, he said, and our warning. They didn't understand until the sensors picked up movement in orbit. Dozens of shapes uncloaking above, machines of Terran origin drones. War relics. Still active, still loyal. For millennia, they had drifted in silence. Waiting for his command, Nathan raised his hand. The machines responded. The sky lit up with the pulse of awakening power, a ghost fleet returning from the dead. The Zelari captain whispered in awe, "You could rebuild your empire." Nathan smiled faintly. No, not rebuild. Remind. He sent one final transmission into the stars, a simple message encoded in every human tongue. We are the memory of fire. We do not fade. We do not forgive. Then he turned back toward the ruins of Earth. The machines encircled him, their lights forming a silent halo over the planet's surface. Centuries later, travelers across the galaxy would tell of the Warden of Earth, a lone human who answered a dead signal and reawakened the machines of the old gods. And in the whispers of the void, when static hummed in old frequencies, one could still hear that faint, unyielding voice alive. Human fleets adapted almost instantly. Predictive AI studied imperial movements and preempted strategies. When the Empire tried to encircle human forces, the humans slipped away and struck from a new direction. When the Empire attempted to defend key supply routes, humans severed them with single precision strikes. When the Empire gathered fleets to overwhelm a human battalion, they found themselves surrounded instead. Humanity fought not like an ancient conquest-driven species, nor like creatures seeking territory. They fought like a species with a singular purpose. The Empire would cease to exist, root and bone the Sol system. The war machine ran at full force. Thousands of ships were built each day in orbital rings whose metallic glow outshone the sun. Entire continents were transformed into logistics hubs, where resource flows were orchestrated by quantum-guided algorithms that made mistakes impossible. Soldiers drilled in synchronized regiments, their training augmented by neural interfaces that made reactions lightning fast. Civilians contributed without being ordered. They welded armor plating, programmed drones, constructed habitats for refugees rescued from the Empire, and raised the next generation of children who would grow up in a galaxy reshaped by this war. But even as humanity advanced, the Empire was not idle. The Emperor unleashed his Sunbreaker doctrine, a last resort collection of weapons and fleets forbidden even by imperial law. Massive psionic torpedoes capable of shattering planetary crusts. Dark energy cannons that bent local space-time. Genetic shock troops engineered to withstand radiation and vacuum exposure. The Empire's elite commander, Grand Admiral Shireth, took personal control of the retaliation effort. Cold, calculating, and utterly devoted to the Emperor, she orchestrated dozens of counterattacks meant to fracture human momentum. For a brief moment, the galaxy held its breath. Humanity's response arrived 3 days later, when the Eclipse Armada emerged from slipspace across 17 Imperial systems simultaneously. The Armada dwarfed anything humanity had previously deployed. Even human allies watching from afar were stunned at the scale. Tens of thousands of ships arranged in waves that resembled an unfolding geometric pattern, each vessel synchronized with quantum precision. They moved like a single machine with a single mind. The Empire fired first. Sunbreaker torpedoes streaked across the void, leaving rippling distortions in their wake. Dark energy cannons fired beams that tore holes in the star fields. Genetic shock troops launched in drop pods designed to pierce even dreadnought hulls. The Empire unleashed its fury, with rage, with desperation, with the certainty that no foe could survive such a barrage. Humanity survived. The Eclipse Armada countered with coordinated shield reconfigurations that refracted dark energy beams. Drone swarms intercepted Sunbreaker torpedoes, sacrificing themselves in synchronized waves to protect the fleet. Human ships wove through the battlefield with movements too precise to be piloted by organic reflexes alone. They struck with gravity lances that collapsed shield harmonics and rail bursts that shredded armor at the molecular level. The Empire discovered, to its horror, that humans not only anticipated the Sunbreaker doctrine, they had planned for it. For the first time in centuries, the Empire retreated. It did so not in strategy, but in fear. Admiral Shireth attempted to reorganize her shattered forces. She transmitted commands through encrypted channels, calling upon every remaining Imperial asset. She ordered the mobilization of the Imperial Core's planetary shields, activated dormant defense satellites hidden in the orbital rings, and demanded reinforcements from the outer colonies. But the Empire's once vast unity was fracturing. Governors refused to obey. Some defected. Some fled. Some hid their fleets, unwilling to die for a regime that had just proven it could not protect itself. The Emperor flew into a rage so violent that his advisors feared to enter the throne chamber. His public broadcasts degenerated into threats, then accusations, then pleas. He offered negotiations, amnesty, power-sharing agreements. Humanity did not answer. The silence weighed heavier with each passing hour. The Empire's morale collapsed faster than its fleets. Meanwhile, humanity captured the largest Imperial databank outside the core. Hidden in its archives were the classified details of the Summit assassination, blueprints of the antimatter charges, orders from the High Council, signatures from senior Imperial officers, and a voice recording of the Emperor approving the plan. The humans already knew the Empire was responsible, but now they had evidence. Evidence that would one day be preserved not for vengeance, but for history. Human commanders reviewed the files with expressionless discipline. They did not rage. They did not curse. They simply added the data to their strategy logs and prepared for the next phase. The path to the Imperial core, the core had never been breached. It was surrounded by fortress worlds, ringed with war platforms, and protected by fleets stationed in permanent defense patterns that consumed entire planetary economies. The Empire's capital world, Arcalis, was known as the most fortified planet in the galaxy. If humanity wanted to end the Empire, everything would come down to breaking through this final bastion. The Eclipse Armada drew closer. The Empire prepared its last defense. The galaxy watched to the edge of the core, in the shadow of a red dwarf star illuminating a field of Imperial mines. The first engagements began. Imperial fleets converged to defend the sector, but the humans were already ahead. They deployed infiltration drones that hacked targeting systems, created false fleet signatures, and corrupted navigation beacons. When the battle started, the Empire's fleet formations fell into disarray. Human cruisers weaved through the chaos, picking off command ships with ruthless precision. Dreadnoughts shattered defensive lines with focused fire that burned through shields and hull alike. On the second day of the battle, Admiral Shireth launched her most devastating tactic, the Oblivion Net, a weapon that disabled FTL drives and trapped enemy ships in a destabilized gravity well. It had been used only once before in Imperial history. That time, it had destroyed an entire rebellion fleet. This time, it ensnared a portion of the human armada. The Empire celebrated prematurely because the trapped human ships did not attempt escape. They fired in perfect synchrony, channeling energy into a resonance pulse that destabilized the net's gravitational anchors. The net collapsed inward, tearing apart the Imperial ships projecting it. Shireth's trap backfired catastrophically, taking out her own reinforcements and opening a corridor through which the humans advanced without resistance. By the time the humans reached the core perimeter, the Empire had lost half its navy. Arcalis stood alone behind layers of orbital rings armed with antimatter missiles, laser lancers, shielded platforms, and base cannons capable of slicing ships in half. The Emperor was confident that even if the humans reached the system, they would bleed themselves dry trying to breach the defenses. He underestimated how far humanity was willing to go. The first human fleet wave engaged the outer rings, drawing fire and absorbing staggering damage. Thousands of drones were vaporized. Dozens of ships were lost. But they held position, focusing fire on a single point of the orbital defense grid. The Empire assumed this was desperation, a futile attempt to break through a fortified wall. It wasn't.